Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023. It is stage 6 in the men's race. We have our individual time trial covering 40 kilometers and an elevation of 185 meters. My name's Matt Payne. I am again going to be bringing you all of the action, and we'll be joined very shortly in the studio by Emma Martin. Emma currently just wrapping up what has been an incredible women's time trial, and make sure you head across over there and have a watch, because it has been very instrumental in what's going to happen on our final stage. And I expect the same to be true, if not more so today, because we have some very tight time gaps indeed. In fact, in terms of podium positions, we have positions separated by as little as 5 seconds. The course the riders face in their 40 kilometers of racing is essentially a run out. It's exactly the same as the women's to the 30k marker, then a further 10 kilometers, a total of 185 meters of ascent. Of that, the vast majority, 145 meters in the first 30k. In the final 10k, there is only 40 meters of climbing. And in fact, the run from 8.5 kilometers is predominantly downhill, and we only climb 10 meters in the last 8.5 kilometers. So this is going to be really, really telling. Very interesting profile, and that definitely played out in the women's race, which is very similar. So we have the big hill at the start, the first summit coming at 6.9k, the second of our hill summits coming at 16.6. We then rise up at 26 and at 31 kilometers. That is going to be really testing for the riders. Now, 4 categories going away. It's a mass start, and this is a time trial, so there is no drafting. The drafting switched off across the entire MyWhoosh world, and that means that the riders in the teams will be fighting it out individually with no assistance in terms of draft. Team Alpha with some great riders, and in the top classification, we have Boothayeb and Buamer. They're going to be looking for a good time today. The Saddle Squad, well, their riders are in 4th and 5th. That's Maillard and Dromard. Dromard putting in a great ride yesterday to take away the stage win. We have our red racers in here, and the red racers squad with 2nd, 3rd, and 8th places in here, with Suarez in 2nd, losing his yellow jersey to Enrico Quadrelli of the Sprocket Science group. The Sprocket Science team, with Quadrelli holding the GC and the Mountains competition and taking a confirmed win in that mountains competition already. There are no mountain points today for Quadrelli, and there are no sprint points for Alex Pleasure, because this is a pure time trial, so no sprints and no mountain points available, which means that those competitions will be decided tomorrow. Yesterday's winners, well, Florian Dromard took the stage win. He also took the stage mountain points as well, so he will take that prize away. Alex Pledger picked up the sprints on his way to confirming his position as the winner of the sprint competition overall, and he did that by winning yesterday. Ian Lloyd holding on to that jersey that he has had such a firm grip on from the start, really, of the whole of the championships in that Masters competition. He'll be looking to put in a good performance today as well. And remember, today, no mountains and no sprint competition, just about that time to get in and over the line. Race is 40k long, so it's 25 miles. So effectively, this is the sort of race that we would expect the riders to be handling in sub 1 hour, and that is the marker definitely for category 4. We'll see how close they're going to get. You can see that they are down on time trial bikes, so the riders have been set up on time trial bikes on basically the same bike that then gives them the same draft. The riders cannot draft each other, so there'll be no flicking into green for the numbers on the top left-hand side of your screen, and it means that it's about that rider's individual effort, and where they put that effort down on the course is going to be key today. Dromard yesterday took the stage win on that mountain top, and he lost a lot of time on his lead in the last few hundred meters, because he put absolutely everything in there. He took the win, but really, really having a tough time after he went over the King of the Mountains point to the line. Hopefully he's got some great recovery in. He'll be looking to put down a good performance today. But he is the rider we are in with at the moment. And interestingly, with 30 seconds to go, still holding what is a relatively low power and revs. Remember, of course, there's no benefit of sitting in with another rider on the way out from the start line, no draft effect. It's purely psychological, where you are relative to everybody else, and of course, how you're going to get on as you make your way down the course. So, our riders lined up, ready to go. We are in to the start of the time trial. One start, no drafting. First over the line will take away the stage win. Here we go. It's stage 6 of the MyWhoosh Championships, and away we go. The penultimate stage underway for the riders in category number 4. The first set of riders out onto the road, and this is all about their efforts. There's no benefit of sitting behind a wheel as you make your way down. Cristiano Kennett, the fastest out from the gate, out from the pen. At the moment, it's Kennett from Spin Hernandez, then it's Dromard and Al-Harabi at the moment. These are riders just getting themselves settled into position, get themselves up to speed. So how you accelerate out from the pen, really, really key. And whether you put in a massive kick from the start or whether you've already got it wound up to race pace in the pre-start is going to be really a key to getting this right. So we're just watching a little bit of a shuffle on the way in, just watching Al-Harabi at the moment, just nicely tucked in here, moving his way up through into 5th position, leading the second group on the road here today. But as you can see, those numbers not going into the green, and this is where having a very smart head counts. The time trial is known as the race of truth, so there's no just sneaking a benefit of hiding on a wheel. If you are going too hard and you follow somebody too early, you could well get found out. So being cool, calm, and collected here will pay off in spades. Our yellow jersey, Enrico Quadrelli, going to be looking to keep his lead. Now, in terms of positions here, Quadrelli is leading. He has a 4-minute 13 lead on second place. Mikel Suarez, who lost a lot of time yesterday. Suarez has 4 minutes 28 on third. And in fact, the time gaps are quite substantial all the way through to 6th and 7th place. And that is going to be really, really key. Thayab, currently holding 6th place, is the rider that you've got on your screens now. He has got a gap back to David Noack. Noack in 7th place is the nearest rider, 25 seconds the difference. And at the moment, Thayab looking like he's wanting to set out the marker early, that he's going to defend his 6th position and look to extend his lead over 7th place. Now, he's got to get the pacing right here, and that is going to be key. And really interesting seeing people putting in some very big kicks here to move up through the field and go with the group when there's no draft benefit. And there's not a steep section of the course where you're going to take advantage. The only places where it's going to pay benefit is basically putting big power on the climb, so it will get you up that climb quicker. Putting big power onto the flats or the descent will carry more momentum. So taking a little bit of a check through Xavier Maillard, currently in 7th position on the road at the moment. He's 4th in the race. So he looks like he's one of our early riders who maybe is just losing a little bit of ground. Cristiano Kennett in 8th place. He is making up time. He's in 2nd place at the moment, just moving his way up. Just taking a look at Noack, he's currently in 12th place. So Noack at the moment has got some room to make up. Meanwhile, Ian Lloyd currently sitting in 16th position, sitting at a nice comfortable pace. And a UK rider, he should be very used to time trials, and they are the staple of the club scene in the UK. And in fact, for a long time in the UK, as people may have heard if you were watching the women's feed, they were the only time trial, was the only race that was allowed on the roads, and you were forced to get up at incredibly crazy times before dawn to a race when there was nobody else around. In fact, it was so secretive that all the courses had a code number, so it might be the V714. and that code number would relate to the course, and that would be all you would be told of where the course was. You'd have to find out sort of secret squirrel-like about where you were. Now, just watching Obo just make his way down here, sitting in 17th position, currently at 3.2 watts per kilo, just kicking up a little bit at the moment. At Florian Dromard leading this race out now. So yesterday's winner is currently at 3.8 to 3.9 watts per kilo. And key to pacing a time trial is about making sure you get the pacing right. Now, if you're a climber, you should benefit from the first 6.97 kilometers of this course. This is the hillier part of the course, and you can see Dromard, who we saw put in that great ride on the climb yesterday, lifting his way up there. And yesterday, of course, Florian Dromard took away the stage win as the first rider across the line, and that means he's got big prize money heading his direction, because, of course, each stage winner takes away $250. And, of course, no sprint winner today, no King of the Mountains winner today. It's all about where you're going to finish in the individual standings. $2,500 for first, 5th to 10th. Well, there is a change there. 5th taking $500, but 6th to 10th taking $250 each. The team classification is still open, and that is going to be a really interesting battle between the riders in the team. And remember, of course, all of the stages counting towards that team competition. So the riders, even if they're not in the top 10 and maybe will change their personal position, it may well be that they need to push on so that they can affect the position of their team and move up through those team standings. And of course, you never know what's going to happen to a rider on the stage. Anything can happen, and you only need to snap your chain, break a pedal or a crank, or snap the handlebars, or just have a really bad day, and all those positions can change. So seeing Hassan Al-Harabi at the moment, Al-Harabi really is starting to sit comfortably in 3rd position. Currently got a little bit of a gap back to Maillard behind him. So Maillard, then Ospina, Hernandez, followed by Canup. Then in front, the gap is opened. It's not very far to Cavallo, and you can just see the very front of the race being held by Florian Dromard. But these riders pretty equidistant, so no major gaps being pushed in at the moment. So the team Alpha riders really looking to push on here. We're in with Al-Harabi. Just saw Bofayed in there as well. Al-Harami in here. Looks like Sayeb on a good ride. These riders are working hard at the moment, and I think this team really wanted to use today to push themselves up through the standings. All the riders very aware that it's all about time. And there's a great phrase in time trialing that once you lose time, it is incredibly difficult to get back. And once it's lost, it's gone. And most riders do struggle to pull back time once a gap has opened up. The front 2 riders starting, in fact, 3 riders pulling away. Dromard, Al-Harabi, and Cavallo. They are the 3 riders with the lead. Florian Dromard with a slight lead on Al-Harabi, as well as the Cavallo. Then it is a gap back of what is about 7 seconds to Maillard. Then a little bit more of a gap to Espina, Hernandez, and Canup and Co. But Dromard setting his stall out on these climbs, using them. And this, if you're a climber, is probably the best place to put that effort in. Go for, what is a positive split, go for a fast time, a big effort on the first half, rather than on the second half where it does ease off somewhat. We do have a steep section coming between kilometre 30 and 31.5 as we make our way up the final peak of the day, the final hill of the day, and that is a bit steeper. Very interesting here, Enrico Quadrelli, the rider, one of the Quadrelli brothers, racing both in different categories, a little bit further back. He's sitting in 7th position at the moment, Quadrelli. He's not giving away very much time at this stage, but remember, we are only 5 kilometers nearly into what is a 40k stage, not 70k stage. Those are the standard stage distances. 70k time trial now, that would be pretty brutal. So Quadrelli at the moment sitting at 4.1 watts per kilo, just watching that heart rate. And a good time trial rider will ride and change gears so that their heart rate stays within a beat or two of their maximum, and the heart rate will stay steady, and they will keep right on that limit. They'll be treading that very fine line, that tightrope between making progress and falling off the side because they go too deep into the red zone. And certainly it looks to me like Quadrelli just keeping those targets, keeping an eye on where those riders are, just using Espino Hernandez there as a little bit of a target there, just gets out of the saddle, gives it a little bit of a kick, not wanting Hernandez to make any ground either. Hernandez is currently in third place, but the gap between Quadrelli and third place, well, that is going to be sitting at nearly 8 3/4 minutes. Time gaps in category 4, pretty substantial across the top 6 riders. Now, some very interesting tactics here with riders sprinting and then easing off and sprinting and easing off on something that is a fairly steady, gradual gradient. And one of the reasons that we always talk about being unusual is that if you go into the red zone, you've got to recover. The time that you spend in the red over the difference between your aerobic limit and you're using the anaerobic capacity that you've got. So basically, aerobic is to use oxygen. So if you are in an aerobic state, you're using the oxygen that's coming into your lungs. It's your primary fuel. You're able to get that in, use it to burn the fuel in your body and to continue onwards. You can do that for a long time. If you go anaerobic, you are then starting to kick in, and you're using basically not oxygen but the chemicals. It's a chemical process within your body, so you are actually going to start burning up the fuel that's within the cell itself. So that then means you've limited amounts of that. You can't keep refueling that as fast as you burn it, not even close. So what will happen is you'll run out. Now, some people have a very high anaerobic limit. They can sit in there for a long time. It's generally pretty painful as well, but you can train your body to deal with that. So riders will know how long they can go in there. Go in there too long, you maybe go in there for a minute. Super phenomenal athlete, you go into the anaerobic thing for a minute, probably take you about 10 minutes to recover from that. That's the kind of time scale, and that is why you lose much more time if you go too far or go over that. And if you take yourself beyond the point where you've got any fuel but you're still putting an anaerobic effort in, you're going to blow big style. And you are not just going to lose seconds, you're going to lose minutes. And that's why it's so critical for the riders to know where their limit is and to use those anaerobic efforts carefully here. And that is what we are seeing. We're seeing people kicking in and pushing on, then sitting back down again, not trying to push themselves in. And one of the things you can do, you can actually do a very short sprint effort where it's sub-maximal. So you're not going in to the red. You're not pushing your body long enough to engage that anaerobic process, but you are making some pace and you are making some time. So really interesting techniques being put down by our riders as they continue to push. So keeping an eye on Ian Lloyd here in 15th position at the moment. He's just in a nice steady pace at 3.5. Now taking a look back from Lloyd in Category 4 to our Category 3 riders who are down on the start line. Let's take a look at our teams still in contention in Category number 3. The Vuelta Colombia squad, the first of those. They've got third place Cajal, the rider at the top of your list in there. You've got 6th place with the Rego in as well. He's a little bit further back. Really interesting, though, the time gaps at the top of the standings are incredibly tight, and the team competition is very, very close as well. The battlers in the team competition, well, they have already got one jersey sewn up. Next for Carl Taisalis. Carl taking away so far 100 points and a clear win, confirmed win if he makes it into the finish at the end of tomorrow's stage in 1st place. They've also got Michael Phillips. He's our yellow jersey overall. The MyWhoosh Beast, well, watch out today for Taylor Gonsolin. Gonsolin is the rider who is leading the Masters category. And great to have Taylor get in touch. Don't forget you can get in touch with us. It is at Matt Fixpain and at Biking Emma. So at Matt Fixpain and at Biking Emma. And thank you very much, Taylor, for getting in touch. And hopefully you'll have the day that you predicted today. So let's see how our riders get on as they go through. Now, yesterday was a real battle to the top of the mountain. And in Category 3, your stage winner is Ishmael Nogueira. So Nogueira taking the top spot and will be taking away that prize. You can see Kartai Salius wrapping up the day's green sprint points, which was what gave him the win in that. Michael Phillips taking away the polka dot jersey for the day and consolidating his lead at the top. Not unassailable yet, but certainly looking like he's in prime spot. Stefan Nadina holding on to the white jersey, although he did lose the yellow jersey overall to Michael Phillips. And Taylor Gonsolin taking away that Masters jersey once again. Let's see if he can get himself on to a podium here today on the MyWhoosh Championship. Remember, these are the day prizes for stage 5. We are on to stage 6, which is our time trial. So the 40 kilometers, the 185 meters, with no draft, no advantage of sitting in the wheels today. You can see the riders down on the line. In fact, we can just see with Camel Canth. He's the rider in blue, just in front of Taylor Gonsolin. And then just to the side is Michael Phillips in that yellow skin suit. He's the overall leader. You've also got, of course, the white jersey, the polka dot jersey. They're all in there waiting and ready to go. And today is going to be a decision day. Are you going to go and put everything out there? Or are you going to be getting on board and getting the bus, taking it nice and steady? Will you be one of the laughing group at the back, taking it easy, not putting in a hard ride today, just making sure that you get to the finish of the stage so that tomorrow you can give it absolutely everything? So a real balancing act, and really is decision time for our riders. So as you can see, Category 1, 42 minutes to start, 22 minutes for Category 2, just over 2.5 minutes for Category 3. Category 4 with Florian Dromard leading out the race at the moment in chase, and Enrico Quadrelli doing a great job in that yellow skin suit, defending his lead. So Camel Canth, the rider we're in with at the moment, 126 beats a minute, got those revs nice and high. Really good to see that he's spinning those legs up with 2 minutes out, and the warm-up is key. Now, 2 techniques to go out from this start line that are effective. One is to have a really good warm-up and then to ride in, so that with 30 seconds plus to go, you're already at time trial pace. You don't need to go into the red, you don't need to push on hard, or what you do is you wait to the gun and then you use some explosive power to get you off from the start and hope that you don't go too deep and don't lose too much time when you're recovering from that immediately afterwards. So getting that balance right, really key. My preferred technique when you're running on esports in a time trial is to actually go and do that kick up to pace, generally about 1.5 to 2 minutes out, because then I can do some recovery from kicking it up to speed, keep the momentum rolling, keep the machinery in action, but then to be able to push through the line, knowing that I'm already sat at that pace rather than having to yo-yo it up and down, and generally that pays off in the long run on a time trial. We'll see which technique these riders are using. Certainly keeping your legs moving is absolutely key. What gear you choose, though, and how you use those is going to be pretty critical here out on the course here in MyWhoosh. So into the last minute now of the countdown for our riders in category 3. Just watching the res, watching that heart rate just start to rise of Kamikaze, just up to 131. He's slowly ticking at 132. He's getting this timing right, just pushing it up. So he's getting it up to a place he feels comfortable, getting ready for this start here. 25 seconds on the clock. And this is when he's got to be ready to go. So he'll know what pace he's aiming to go out at. He's currently sitting at 2.6 watts per kilo. Michael Phillips, I think, is going for a very fast start. He's already sitting at 3.5. So here we go. This is the launch from the line. All of our riders set away at the same point in time. Category 3 going out onto stage 6 here on the MyWhoosh Championships. This is the start. This is where you see the differences. We are seeing Stefan Hedina up at 6 watts per kilo, kicking off from the line, not wanting to lose any time at this stage, and very quickly onto the front. But remember, there is no draft. There is no advantage sitting on the wheel. Having company is purely psychological. Having somebody there, they're not going to hold your hand. They're going to be too busy focused on kicking down this straight. And these riders will know what pace that they can go at. Now, if you kicked off from that start hard, you're going to be making time now. But you're going to lose it a little bit further down the road as these riders come in and through. So let's take a check on how those riders continue to push. So here we go, Karte Sadius in the green here. He's just sitting at the back of this line at the moment. He's holding a pretty steady pace here at 3.5 to 3.7. Carl taking away the green jersey. That is confirmed in position as he goes in and through. So he is going to be in the lead there. He's going to take that green jersey. He should be taking it in to the finish as long as he makes it to the end. So our riders continue onwards. Michael Phillips here in that yellow jersey. He is our leader. And at the moment, he holds that lead. Are you waiting for this? By 11 seconds. 11 seconds from Michael Phillips to second place. And second place is Stefan Hedina. And that is one of the reasons why we're seeing Hedina really working hard on his way out. So Hedina, the rider who's trying to push on, you can see our category 3 on the left-hand side of your screens. He's in there in the white jersey of under 23. Phillips is in there as our yellow jersey. And this is the other way to ride a time trial. Instead of thinking about what pace you can do, see what you need to do and do only what is necessary. If you think you can go mano a mano, Phillips versus Hedina, this could be really interesting, because what you need to do then is just go away for those 11 seconds. If you're Michael Phillips, you know that all you need to do is stay in front of Hedina to maintain your lead. So really interesting here in our category 3. A bunch pretty much going out together. Arago, Kanth in there. The riders not necessarily who are going to finish in the top few positions, but very, very tight indeed at the top of those standings. And the gaps are minimal. So 11 seconds from first to second place. 39 seconds going back from Hedina, going back to Carcajal. From Carcajal to Quadrelli, well, that is the smallest gap in this category in the top 10. And that is 8 seconds, next to nothing. So coming into the studio to join me is Emma Martin. Emma's just going to get ready, and then we'll be back with you in a second. So welcome in to the second of the studios of the day. It is Emma Martin coming in and joining me here in the studio for the men's race. Emma wrapping up the end of the women's race. Had the pleasure of watching pretty much all of the women's race with a quick sprint out to the studios to do a couple of tech checks. And it was an absolute cracker. I know I'm biased because I love time trials and time trialing. I know for some people it's an absolute anathema, but for me, absolutely love it, and enjoyed watching the women's finish all the way through. No spoilers from me, but we did see some upsets.
We did.
There. Are we going to see upsets today? We've seen two very different tactics here. We've got riders riding very much their own race in Category 4, Emma, here with people like Maillard and Dromard out at the front, Quadrelli and Co behind. They're riding at their own pace and have done pretty much from the start. In Category 3, we have seen a big bunch go out together, and I think they're watching each other. So very different tactics here, and could be very interesting. Now, the course we saw, big bump, big drop down here. We're going to see the same thing where the climbers go well early maybe, or maybe they don't.
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting in the men's race, Matt. They've got that extra 10 kilometres, but it's pretty flat, that final 10K for the men today. The women's race, you're right, we did see overturns, and I'm not going to give anything away, but we are going to see changes on GC coming into the final stage tomorrow, and jerseys changing hands, and some gaps that we thought were unassailable in terms of minutes being closed down.
Well, that is going to be really interesting to see. Now, Carl Thyselius here in Category 4. Carl sitting at 4.1 watts per kilo. We are on the initial ascent up here. Remember, the first 6.9 kilometers is uphill to the summit of the first climb. Carl Thyselius is on a bit of a mission here, I think. He knows what he wants to do. He knows his pace. We know he's an experienced rider in terms of racing on MyWhoosh, and he knows where to put his effort in. He's currently on the front, but look at those time gaps. I mean, we're talking like 2 seconds back to Quadrelli, nothing between Quadrelli and Phillips to Hedina. That's the battle for first and second place at the moment. They're absolutely glued to each other. I think they must have like a bungee cord pretty much between the bikes.
Well, you know, Phillips to Quadrelli is only 50 seconds, Matt, and that's fourth place. Now, Thyselius is interesting because Thyselius isn't on GC. But for me, for Thyselius, this is about the individual time trial win.
Now, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? Take away the stage win. He can't take away money for the sprint because there isn't one today. But he could take away the win in the run. So let's see how much is at stake. Let's see what he is fighting for. I think Emma's point there, absolutely storming there.
Well, let's take a look. So Category 3, the prize money for the men, identical to Category 3 prize money for the women. The individual classification, Matt, first in that classification, $5,000. But take a look, it does descend down to sixth place, $500. And there are fractions of, well, there are fractions of minutes because there are seconds between the categories at the moment in the standings between first and 10th. And this is all to fight for today, your individual classification. But let's not forget the team classification, that first prize, $21,000. The team classification is also really important today because of the time gaps.
Yep, very close, isn't it? I mean, we've got the surprise team, Go Hard, to Columbia battle, as quite expect, MyWhoosh Beast, but the battle at the top of that is very, very tight, and you know, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars at stake. I mean, what was it, 50 seconds between first and fourth place? You said there, Emma, that is basically $3,000.
Absolutely, and in that individual competition, definitely. You know, in the team competition, well, it is all to play for as well. So in Category 4, just 12 minutes separation. Now, let's remember, in the team competition, it's the top 3 riders in that team's time, total time that is added together. So currently just 12 minutes separating, and we can see big time gaps. That is, of course, in Category 4. In Category 3, let's take a quick look. Just turning the handle on my computer. It is 1 minute.
Wow.
1 minute separates the top 2 teams in Category 3. So this is all to play for. So those 2 teams in Category 3, it is the battlers, Carl Thyselius, Staples, Phillips. You know, Dadson is in there as well. So this is a strong squad who have got to perform well. And then Vito, Colombia, Carcajal, Orego in there, currently 3rd and 6th overall in standings. But this is for the team today.
It is, and let's see who can take this on. Now, we can't discount Telegonsolin. Gonsolin saying that he was looking for a good performance today. We'll see whether he's able to make his legs do what his mind wants them to do as this unfolds. Now, just riding in here with Filippo Quadrelli, one of the Quadrelli brothers. He is right on the heels here of the team in front. That is Stepan Hadina. Hadina just in front of him, and you can see nothing to choose between them.
It's a fast pace that those Category 3 riders are setting at the moment. I know they're on a climb map, but they are looking at 4.5, 5 watts per kilo, which is a really fast pace in Category 3. They are not going to be able to hold that for the length of the time trial, and I think we're going to see a couple of people perhaps in trouble as they get towards the latter stages of this effort today.
Now, taking a look back to a very different race from that Emma's just described there in Category 3 when we move to Category 4, because in Category 4 here, Emma, there are much bigger gaps in here, and we are seeing riders, I think, feeling the effects and also riding smart on the way through here. And one rider who really has looked like not just in trouble yesterday, but also looks like they're in trouble today a little bit here, is Michael Suarez. Suarez at the moment sitting in 11th position in the time trial. And those gaps between Michael Suarez and the race leading Category 4 really opened yesterday. Enrico Quadrelli taking away the top spot. He opened up 4 minutes. But Suarez may well have thought, well, I can't take the rider in front, but he can't give away too much time. It's a similar time gap, isn't it, to between 2nd and 3rd?
It is indeed. So, 4 minutes 13 seconds first to second, another 4 minutes 28 back to third, but then 40 seconds back to fourth. So I think we're going to see that battle for 3rd and 4th play out. The time gaps further back are big as well, so plus 4 minutes 14 to 5th, then plus 9 minutes to 6th. So really, for me, it is a fight between Ospina Hernandez and Mallard for that 3rd place.
Well, let's take a little look when these riders go through. Going to be very interesting to see who can take this out as they make their way down. Now we're in with Filippo Quadrelli. Let's see how it's going. Just moving up from Filippo to Michael Phillips to take a look back at Filippo Quadrelli. These riders approaching the 7-kilometre marker, 12 minutes of racing done, and that means they're just coming over the top, as you can see, of the summit here and starting to drop down on the other side. So the run across the summit, they're then going to drop back down again. You can see that coming up on that profile.
Yeah, so just dropping into the results of the team competition on general classification at the moment for Category 4. And it is indeed Red Racers who are currently leading that competition from Sprocket Science. Now that gap, the time gap, is 12 minutes. Now, Kennett part and parcel of Red Racers, so we're going to need to see some really strong performances from the Red Racing squad to hold off Sprocket Science. So Quadrelli, Nowak and Pledger, part of Sprocket Science. Kennett, Suarez and Ospina Hernandez, part of Red Racers. So this actually is important, and this is important in Category 4 for this team race, even if those large time gaps are unassailable in, of course, the individual competition.
And I think that's going to be really key, isn't it? So let's see who is going to take this out. The riders are going to be making the way through. Xavier Maillard here, great ride by him. He started off really well here, Emma, and he's just sitting holding the pace. Proper time trial sort of, I say proper, old school time trial technique, sitting and holding that pace. Dromard had gone hard initially on the climb, But given that these riders are now at 20 kilometres nearly, they are off the second of the hills here and they're into the flat section.
Well, I'm looking down the list at the moment, Matt, for, where are we? Ospina Hernandez, because Maillard in the front there, I think, is going to be moving into third place, definitely on the road at the moment. But Ospina Hernandez is currently in 9th place. So the race for third place between Ospina Hernandez and Maillard on GC, I think at the moment Maillard is clear.
So they came in with a 40-second gap between the two, and that was in the favour of Hernandez. Maillard has gone hard and he has overtaken that at the moment. We say at the moment because, of course, the clock will only stop when the riders come in through the finish line at 40 kilometres. So Category 4 well underway down the course. Category 3 making their way through as well. Category 2, the next of our categories, ready to go on that start line. They will be followed, of course, by the Category 1 riders. So Category 2 riders lined and ready to go. This is going to be a very interesting race here today with some tight time gaps in the race. The Team Tapas in the running for the team competition with 4th, 5th and 7th, Mayer, Howeiler and Simmons. The riders who are right up there in the overall classification. And with Simmons holding the sprints, he's got to decide today how hard he's going to go to defend that 7th place, given that he's only 41 seconds in front of 8th, but has the lead in the sprint. So bit of decision time required for him in that Team Tapas. The cyclists, I will get my teeth back in by the end of the stage race. Well, the cyclists, great racing by them, and they have the mountains leader at the moment in Nicholas Spratt. So look for him to go hard on the start of the stage today on the time trial, 3rd overall. And 6th place, and the youth jersey for Cameron Winfield. Great ride by the youngster.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, isn't it? You know, Spratt may be having the mountains win, but he's 3rd overall, and he is only 1 minute 36 back off 1st.
Wow, so very tight indeed. Now,
really tight.
The Hubbard squad are running well there in that team competition. Their best rider, I think, coming at the moment from Krasnich, but it's Mr. G and Bogram both riding well as well. It'd be really interesting to see how they go on the way through. Currently sitting in 5th position in the team competition. Cafe de Colombia, though, well, they have a big day in front of them today, don't they, Emma?
They do indeed. Cafe de Colombia currently 2nd in the team competition, and it's really interesting to note, Matt, Team Tapas leading that team competition. Cafe de Colombia in 2 minutes 44 seconds back.
And Cafe de Colombia, of course, have Maglio, who is our yellow jersey wearer overall. He is the man leading this race. He's had 3 stage wins. Going to be a very interesting day in the office for them. Now, the KOM's power squad, they're still in the running for the hunt for the team competition. And given that Henry Us is their prime performer, in 10th spot, 9:21 down on the lead, it's going to be about what the team can do together.
Oh, absolutely. So the psychologist currently in 3rd place in the team competition, 5 minutes down on 1st. So very, very close, top 3. But Quam's Power, 13 minutes back. Again, that is not insurmountable in a team competition today.
It's not, and of course the elite leftovers, they're going to be out racing. They're still in that team competition, but I think given the time splits, I think the elite leftovers today are going to be playing it very smart and looking like they are going to go out with a bang tomorrow. And today's about conservation and making sure they are moving smoothly through the stage. Now, yesterday, these are the results from yesterday, remembered, rather than overall. Carsten Mayer taking away the top spot. He is the winner of the stage prize. You can see that we have Che Howeiler, the winner of the mountains prize on the day. David Pacheco taking away the sprint win on the day, with Cameron Winfield, our best young rider, and Che Howeiler, the best of our Masters competitions on the day. Mayer looking very strong, and I've got to say his win has moved him up to 4th place overall in the race, and that was basically due to great performances on stage 3 and stage 5. But he's been strong all the way through, and I think he's getting better as time goes by.
Well, it's going to be interesting. 3:33 back in 4th place on GC. Now, we nearly saw time gaps like that close women's race, and they were 10k shorter than the men. So I think this is going to be so interesting. The time gaps in Cat 3, the time gaps in Cat 2, and we'll get to the time gaps in Cat 1 as well. But this really is all to play for in GC and in the team competition in Category 2 today.
So our riders into the final countdown, into their final minute. They've got to make sure that they've got their game plan fixed in their head, that they're ready, they're fueled up, ready to go. This should take a lot less than an hour, I suspect, out on the course today, which means you are not going to need much fuel when you're going. But this is a stage race, and you may already have depleted those energy stores. So 30 seconds to go. Category 2 lined up and ready. You can see everybody spinning their legs around now, getting ready for the start. Maya currently at a low rev at the moment at 80, just now starts to pick it up, 85, 86. That heart rate starting to pick up. He's got to get the timing right. So here we go. It's Category 2. It's Stage 6. It's our individual time trial. And we are on the line and away. So this is all about the go, and this is a go from the start. They are very evenly matched coming out from the start at the moment. Top right hand side of your screen, you can see it's stringing out a little bit here, and there is no draft advantage. So whoever is kicking out hardest will go out first, and you can make up some time on the start here, but you could lose even bigger. Go too hard now.
Well, go too hard. I saw 11 watts per kilo coming out from one of the riders, which was a sprint effort. You don't want to go into the red straight off the start pen and then blow later. You've got to watch those matches. So Maglio in 1, Mare in 2, Ruiz moving through to 3, Moreno in 4. This is absolutely eyeballs out, because look at that. The top 30 currently just 5 seconds separating them off the start line.
Well, and we've got some real battles here, because we have riders tied on time as well, don't we, Emma? In 5th and 6th places. This is going to be a real battle between Che Howeiler and Cameron Winfield. There's nothing to choose in that whatsoever.
Absolutely. This really is a great race that is going to play out in Category 2 today. So first place currently on GC, Maglio, 31 seconds in front of 2nd place, which is Duque. Then 1 minute and 5 back to 3rd on GC, which is Nicholas Spratt. Then 1 minute 57 back to 4th, which is Carsten Mare. Then 6th is equal to 5th on time. Okay, so then 7th place, 2 minutes 19 back. So that first 6 riders, absolutely all to play for. And as we said, this team competition in Category 2 just so tight. 2 minutes 44 separating Café de Colombia and Team Tapas at the top, and 5 minutes separating Team Tapas, the leading team with the psychologists. So yes, that is only 2.5 seconds separating Team 2 and Team 3. So with the prize money on offer in that team competition, the team competition in Category 2 is absolutely everything, and I mean everything, to play for today.
Indeed, and I think that's why we saw that mass sprint out from our Category 2 riders. Going back to our leader on the road at the moment, Xavier Maillard, currently in Category 4, leading this out. He's got 6 seconds on Quadrelli. I'll tell you something, Quadrelli has really shown. When he went up to take the stage win on Stage 4, the first time when we went to the top of the Jebelha feat, he showed that he had some serious race legs with him. And that was proven by taking a top 5, then sealing the win in the mountains competition and taking the yellow jersey as our leader. Maglio in the yellow here, of the leader in his category, as well, putting in a phenomenal ride. He's leading this out, and he is setting this in some style.
Well, he doesn't want Andres Duques on his wheel, because that is only a 31-second gap. And we can see at the moment Maglio extending his lead at the moment and really going out hard here today. So can Maglio maintain this pace for the entire 40 kilometres of this individual time trial on stage 6 of the MyWhoosh Championships? Can he keep that lead? Because that is absolutely his intention out the start pen today.
And once you gain that time, you then just need to hold it, don't you? This is the thing with the time trial. So you kick on hard, you gain that time. Somebody has to work to get the time back. And that's what we've seen here. Look at this. Quadrelli has worked to take the time back to Maillard. They've closed that down. Maillard putting in the work. And Quadrelli here is keeping a check on Maillard. He's almost doing what he needs to do.
Well, do you know, I think Quadrelli is doing more than he needs to do, because the gap between Quadrelli in 1 and Maillard in 4 is 8 minutes 41 seconds. He doesn't need to be on his wheel, and he doesn't need to be overtaking him unless he wants the stage win today. That is the only reason for Quadrelli to push on, because Quadrelli just needs to be mindful of where Suarez is. He's 4 minutes 13 back, mindful of where Ospina Hernandez is, because he's 8 minutes and 1 back. Maillard is 8 minutes 41 back. So those 3 riders behind him are all significantly behind him. So for me, Quadrelli coming through to the front here is potentially about a stage win, not about holding on to GC, because he doesn't need to ride this hard to hold on to GC.
Wow. I don't know. I get your point 100%, totally.
Well,
totally. But
there is another reason.
But I also think, for me, this is also Quadrelli about saying, "I'm the boss here, sunshine. What do you think you're doing?" And it's not ego. It is about imposing on the rest of the riders, saying, "Look, this is my jersey. I am the best rider in the race here, and you might be thinking you're the best time trialer, but." Putting in the performance, and we see it in tours, with Giro's not long in starting, and we see it all the time there.
And there was me. I was going to say the other reason is, of course, the team competition, because Quadrelli's team is in second place at the moment, 12 minutes back. If Quadrelli can get 3, 4, 5 minutes, that is going to be phenomenal. Yeah.
I think I think you're right, and it's really interesting, isn't it? Emma is taking the head approach to the racing. And I'm doing what probably cost me a lot of race wins, and that is taking the heart approach.
Or the ego approach.
I don't think it is ego. I don't think it's ego. I think that there is definitely a psychological advantage. Look at Maglio here. I am the fastest rider in this race. I am on the front, and I am setting the pace here. I am going to take away the stage prize here, and I am going to show you. And that puts him in psychologically the best place for that last part of the race.
Maglio is only holding first place by 31 seconds, though. He needs to go out front. Now, that GC holding first by 31 seconds, take a look at that. That's $1,500 difference between first place and second place, and that is what Maglio is fighting for today. So in that category 2 prize money, that individual competition, $7,500 for first, fifth, $1,500. And as we've mentioned, it is 3 or 4 minutes between first and fifth in this competition. That is all up for grabs at the moment, and definitely up for grabs is indeed that team classification. Now, $31,500 for first team over the line, $26,250 for second, $18,750 for third, and currently, when they started today, only 5 minutes separating the top 3 teams. And of course, it's the top 3 riders in each of those teams' time today added together.
So that's just shy of $13,000 across your team for a 5-minute difference. That is well worth racing for. And like you said, Emma, we have seen some serious performances. Now, really love this screen. Quadrelli, yellow jersey, in the fight for first. Phillips racing hard here, battling for his position in the yellow. You've got Maglio in the yellow here. He's leading out. He's leading his race. Absolutely brilliant to see our stage race leaders up here. And we came into this race. We got the race format. We had a look at that and we went, this is going to be amazing. Let's see how this is going to go. And you know what? It's just got better and better as the stage race has gone on. And I am loving the fact that we have this individual time trial. And look at this, Mad and Quadrelli here. They continue onwards and they are opening the gap to Florian Drummond. But as you say, Emma, is anybody going to pay the price for that? It's really risky now. Quadrelli's also going for the race in Phillips's category here. We've got Filippo and Enrique in the race, and Michael Phillips is leading in his category when we came in today. But Phillips's lead is 11 seconds to Hedina. To Quadrelli, he's got 50 seconds, 5-0. Now it's going to be really tight. Meanwhile, category 2, Maglio, Cusimano, Rose, Mayer and Spratt are the top 5 on the road. Winfield in 6th place on the road with Moreno in 7th. That is again going to come down to the line, I suspect, because this is going to be really, really tight. I think this race in category 2, absolutely phenomenal, and it's going to be incredibly close when we come into the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is going to be very, very close. I think through a number of these categories today, Matt, category 3 race, I think, is absolutely open with 50 seconds separating first, second, third, fourth on GC. I think we are really going to see a fight for those seconds today. Category 2, I agree, we are also going to see some real strong racing, not just in that individual competition, but because of that team competition as well.
And Paolo Cusimano here, sitting in 2nd place, sandwiched in between Maglio and Carsten Mayer. He's not in the top 10 overall, but his team want a good performance today. It's the KOM's power team. They're looking to move the way up through that team standings. Ruiz, again, doing a good ride here today for the Steel Wheel squad. He is in the top 10, but Mayer, I think today, is the rider who really is in a position where he could either cement his position where he is, but he has the potential to move up if he can put a phenomenal ride in. But that's looking to me like Maglio. They're doing a absolutely storming job.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is what we want to see, isn't it? So Maglio at the moment, 6 seconds clear of Cusimano, 5 seconds clear of Mayer, who is 3 seconds clear of Ruiz, who is 5 seconds. It is so tight. So Ruiz is 1 second clear of Spratt, who is 7 seconds clear of Winfield, who is 1 second clear of Moreno. This is so tight.
It is indeed. Category 2, really interesting now. The team, I think, are having a hunt at the moment. We're just having a little flick through the screens at the moment, at the results at the moment, and now we've found Andre Duque. This is a rider that we were hoping that we would see. He is in, at the start of the day, 2nd place by 31 seconds. Okay, he's not making ground on Maglio. In fact, he's losing ground to Maglio. But more importantly, what is he losing? He could lose 2nd place to 3rd, 1 minute and 5, separating Duque from Spratt. And Spratt is right up in the top 5.
Yeah, he is indeed. So Duque at the moment currently in 13th place in this individual time trial. Spratt is further up in the top 5, but let's take a look, Matt. So only 9 seconds to 8th place. It really does depend on how much further down the road Spratt is.
I think he may just be on our sat-nav view, just on the right-hand side here. And I'm hoping that he's going to come into sight from Duque's point of view. I think from his point of view, he's hoping Duque's going to be well out of sight behind. So race really is unfolding in the overall categories, as well as for the stage win in categories 4, 3 and 2 out on the road. Our next category to start will be our category 1 riders, the cream of the crop, the top of the tree, however you want to call it. These are the guys fighting for the win now. In terms of that team competition, the Belgian Waffle squad had a good day at the office yesterday. Lionel Vujassin was pushing hard, but a 5th and a 6th and a 7th place on the stage. Kaminsky was riding well. The Sticky Bun Club, again, another good day. And Ross Fawcett has basically made the sprint competition his. Technically, in theory, he could have been deposed, and he still could, in theory, be deposed, but that is surely his now. He's got to feel pretty secure that he's going to be going to bed in a green jersey one way or another. The Italian gelato squad, Damon, had a little bit of a tough day at the office for him, and maybe we were expecting a little bit more from him in terms of position, but still right in the mix, maybe saving something for today's time trial. Nair and Zanaska, two riders with Mel, who again, good rise on the mountain, so hopefully their legs have recovered today. Phil Graves up there in the sprints, Dana Theme and Walter having a good ride for the Beast Mode Pudding squad. So going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very interesting, you know, Matt, because the team competition, UAE clan team in one at the moment. 6 minutes back, the Belgian Waffles, and 9 minutes back from number one, the Italian Gelato squad. So just 3 minutes down on Belgian Waffles in two. I think that team competition is still completely open. And you really don't want me to give you the time gaps to the top 10 in this category, because we could see all change today.
We could. Now, the Hexagon 1 team had a good day for Burke and Kane yesterday. They rode really smart, and we had a little check up on them actually after the show finished going out, just seeing how they were going on, and doing a great job. Alex Heaney had another good ride as well, and really showed that he was riding strongly. And that team will be looking to excel, but this is the team to beat, isn't it? The UAE clan team. Michael Vink taking away the victory. He has taken 4 out of the 5 stages so far. Would you dare bet against him today, Emma?
Well, probably not.
I'm not surprised. His power is phenomenal. But Pablo Popovic, he motored his way through. He rocketed his way up to second place in the competition. He's ahead of third place. Third place is Pin van Diemen. Now, this is where the results came out when the riders crossed the line yesterday. So Michael Vink taking away the stage win on the day. The points on the day are meaning that Burke Cahen took more points than Ross Fawcett yesterday. Burke having a great day, smart riding by him.
Yeah.
He takes that green jersey and the prize for being the points winner on the day. The prize for points winner on the day side Safrazad and Mr. X100 holding on to that Masters jersey for the UAE clan team. So good days at the office for some. Michael Vink, though, has only had one bad day at the office, and that was on stage 2. His lead at the moment is 3 minutes and 12. The gaps behind are tight, and we'll come to those in a second. Let's first of all see where our riders are heading. Let's give you a reminder of the course here in Alula, and the Elephant Rock, a key part, as we'll see later on in the race. So we start and make our way around. It is essentially a straight out time trial. So a one direction, no turning coming back on yourself. It's not a set of laps. And we have 185 meters. The first 30K, well, that has 145 meters of climbing. The last 10K has 40 meters of climbing, but most importantly, the last 8.5K, that has only 10 meters of vertical ascent. So a fast finish on the way in. And if you've got something left, you can really power there. If you can climb, you can be looking at the start of the course, aren't you, Emma?
You are indeed. Those uphill sections coming earlier on. And the first 30 kilometres is indeed the course that the women have faced today. The last 10K is the addition. And you can see, Matt, towards the latter part of that course profile, that small kicker. And I think that will hurt tired legs.
Indeed, they're going to hit that. That comes just after the 30K marker, and they go up to 30 or 1.5. That's the summit of that kick. Then it's 8.5K down to the base. So our riders are down on the start line. Let's take a run through those time gaps from Michael Vink.
So top 10 at the moment, time gaps. So from first to second place, Vink holds the lead on GC by 3 minutes and 12 seconds from Pablo Popovic. Popovic has a 5-second lead on third, which of course is Pim van Diemen. Fourth place is 1 minute 29 back. That is SS. So SS, 1 minute 29 back from Van Diemen. Back from SS to 5th place, which is Mr. X100, is 1 second. Yeah, I'm going to say that again, 1 second. Then 6th and 7th, sorry, 6th is tied on time. So 6th place, Michael Knudsen, the same time as 5th place, 1 second off 4th.
So just to recap, from 4th to 6th place, 1 second.
Absolutely. Then it is 15 seconds back to 7th, which is Stefan van Elst. Then it is 50 seconds back to 8th, which is Vidal Mayer. Then 1 minute and 5 back to 9th, Michael Kaminski. And 31 seconds back to 10th. So the time gaps are tiny throughout that top 10. And if you discount that 3 minutes 12 that Vink holds on second place, it's 4 minutes separating second from 10th.
I'm glad you did the maths, not me. The division of labour in our office between Emma and myself is very evident when it comes to doing maths. Emma is definitely far better at it than I am, that is for sure. So, really tight behind Michael Vink. Michael Vink with the lead. Will he take away that stage win? Surely he's going to want to take a clean sweep on the way through. You can never discount him at any stage in the racing. He's definitely been one of our fastest riders, even on the stage where he ended up being ninth, which was stage 2. So here we go. The penultimate stage, the very last category, getting revved up and ready to ride. These are the riders who are going to set the fastest time without a doubt on our course today. We have 40 kilometers, 185 meters of climbing in front of these riders to take them towards our final stage tomorrow. Who will come up on top step, and who out of that mass of riders in the top 10 behind Michael Vink is going to have a good day and take time on the rest? We are go. We are away. All our riders are on course here on stage 6 of the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023. So the riders away. Juan Hoyos up at the front here. We know he's got a big kick on him. He's going out 7.5 watts per kilo. But for me, what's really interesting here is the lack of red on that screen. Category 1 proper pro. Look at that start.
Steady.
Smooth is key. Smooth
Steady
is
away.
everything.
Well, steady away, smooth is absolutely the name of the game. Hoyos in 1, Vujasin moving through to 2, Vink in 3, Knudsen in 4, Thiem in 5, Nair in 6, and Martins in 7. Now, let's just remember they may be strung out in one long line, but there is no draft today. So everybody's individual effort is what you are seeing on the screen.
And we've got to remember, there is the effect, of course, because we're on esports, that the riders are looking at their time gaps on the screen by looking at the bar on the right-hand side. So they can see the riders around them. And until that settles down, they won't want to give away too much ground. So that's why we are seeing people trying to stay close, isn't it? Yeah. It's because knowing the time checks, that is critical on the way through. Now, that's on the left-hand side of a screen. Mr. X100 in this group. He's got a real battle today around him in that overall. We're just moving across here. We've just seen Maglio and Mayer. This is the battle. They are 5 seconds apart on the road. Mayer is coming up here very strongly. He's pushing at nearly 5 watts per kilo. Maglio has dropped back a little bit here. We saw Maglio go out like an absolute animal, beasting it from the start line. And now it looks to me like he's just dropped back and taken a little bit of a pause. He's looking at the time gap behind. So they're absolutely flying. So all of our riders are somewhere between kilometer 0 and about, I think, kilometer 67.
Probably indeed, because this is 67.
If only.
Well, there's only 40k today.
I told you my maths is rubbish.
Yeah, so there is indeed 40 kilometres in this individual time trial today. And this is the leader on the road at the moment. So this is our category 4 men's race. Codrelli is in 2, and he's just got Maillard in sight down the road in front of him. And that is the rider 7 seconds in front who is currently leading this individual time trial in category 2. Dromard is further behind, and the watts per kilo coming out of Dromard at the moment are quite low. He's just fluctuating there, just picked up to 9 watts per kilo, but he was down at 1.7. Now, the fluctuating may be something to do with the climb that he's on, or it may be something to do that he's just dropped a gear and picked up his cadence dramatically. So dropping between 108 revs per minute and 60 revs per minute and fluctuating between the two. I think he's trying to get his gear right for the end part of this course.
Well, quite possibly. You change between front big chainring, little chainring, or a couple of gears, or have left on your bike a set of sprockets that are basically capable of going up a mountain. So you'd have an 11 smallest sprocket, you'd have maybe a 32 on the back of your sprockets on the biggest sprocket. That's a massive gap in between 3 or 4 teeth. To time trial, you want the minimal gap. I used to race basically on what was called a straight through block. So you would basically start at an 11 and you would go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on. Because that way, I'm not going to say how many there were because it really dates my age. But that would go on. And in fact, I'd actually take off sprockets if I didn't need them. So if I needed a straight through 5-speed block, I only needed a 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's all I put on because it was lighter.
I love the fact that Matt is counting on his fingers to 5. Now, Maillard is indeed leading this from Quadrelli at the moment. Quadrelli now with 2.3 kilometers to go in this race. Maillard is around 100 meters further down the road at the moment. 8 seconds separating 1 and 2 in this category 4 race. And Maillard is starting to pick up the pace again, you know.
He is. And this is, remember, this is all about putting in a performance that is in there. The tightest time gap in category 4 is 40 seconds. That is between 3rd and 4th places. So that is a Maillard to Hernandez. Quadrelli has got a lead of 8 minutes on Maya, so that is not going to affect him. Meanwhile, just taking a look at this race starting to stretch out in category 1. We just take a quick look back. They're on to the climb, and this is where the riders really do need to settle into the pace. And the biggest surprise for me is that Vink isn't leading this out.
Well, you know, there is a long way to go. They're only 5 minutes into this 40-kilometer race, 3.3 kilometers already covered. X100 here in this large group of, they are just strung in one line. Take a look at the top right-hand corner of your screen, viewers. It is one line of yellow dots.
And it shows you, for me, because they're not massively separated, how close these riders are in the teams and in category 1 in terms of performance, because there is no advantage of sitting behind a rider other than in your head. There's no physical advantage. So category 1 well on the way onto the course. Remember, of course, category 4, they are the first riders who are due to finish with us here today in the men's race. It shouldn't change too much. We're at 38.9k, so we're going to be coming into the last k with category 4. Category 1, well, the leaders have already covered almost 4 kilometers in the first 6 minutes of racing. So we are in with our category 1 and 4, and we're going to jump in a permanent suspect until we get him over the line with Xavier Maillard and Enrico Quadrelli. They are clear, but look at Dromard. He's now lost 1 minute on Quadrelli here, and Pledger has lost 2. Nowak is currently at 2:06, so he's right on Pledger. Really tight here. Anybody else you've noticed, Emma?
Well, Ospina has lost 2:45, and that is seriously important because actually that's 2:47 to Maillard. Now, Maillard was 40 seconds behind Ospina Hernandez. Ospina Hernandez being in 3rd place on GC overall. Maillard being in 4th, so Maillard's ride here moving him up into top 3 on GC. Now that is a significant result from this time trial.
That is a massive, massive result from the time trial. If that holds to the line, and we've no reason to suspect that won't be the case, Generally, it takes something major to change those gaps, but remember, this is a race which finds out everybody's weaknesses. The race of truth, the time trial, really testing the riders. And this finish is brutal here, Emma. We are on the last few hundred meters here for the riders. And I tell you something, it can't come quick enough for Xavier Maillard. He's motoring his way up here. He's going to hit the gantry. Maillard is the first rider home. He's going to take the stage win in Category 4. The prizes are his. The second place, well, Quadrelli comes in over the line. He is going to retain and extend, in fact, his lead overall in the GC competition. So Enrico Quadrelli looks like he's going to move onwards in an absolutely stunning position as he makes his way through. Now, taking a look at Florian Dromard, he's motoring at the moment. He's in third position, and he will be the next rider into the line. And we are just seeing both brothers. Well, one is going to be sat at the side, and I'm sure Enrico will be cheering on Filippo. Filippo currently at 29.9K. So the two brothers are from Italy. One is going to be sat, giving some serious shouts out, and I think this is going to be pretty instrumental in the overall.
Well, they've got 10 kilometres to go in this Category 3 race, and Filippo Quadrelli is now in 1, 2 or 3 seconds ahead of Michael Phillips. And this is the race for first place on GC, because Phillips is in first place on GC. Quadrelli in fourth going into this, 50 seconds back. So there is an opportunity in this last 10 kilometres for Filippo Quadrelli not just to move up into the top 3 on GC, but potentially to take the yellow jersey. And I bet now his brother has finished racing in that Category 4 race, there is going to be an awful lot of encouragement going on.
Yep, I think they're going to be louder in there than we are in the studios in here, and that takes some doing. Now, back in with our Category 1 riders. Really interesting. Now, we are seeing a number of these riders starting to get distanced by the riders in front, and this potentially could be where those riders who have benefited from their skills over the course of the stage race of hiding in the wheels, making sure they are smart and use the minimum of work, now have to race out in the wind from start to finish of the stage. And I'm going to expend much more energy than normal. But look at Lionel Vajassin here. Lionel Vajassin has got a gap of 6 seconds on Pin Van Diemen. This is very, very interesting because as he pushes on, he's opened the gap. Popovic and Van Diemen, they are battling for second and third place overall. There's 5 seconds between them on GC. There's 5 seconds between them on the course. So that is absolutely neck and neck. We can see Phillips and Maglio, the two yellow jersey wearers in categories 3 and 2. They're on the right and left of your screens here. Phillips chasing Quadrelli. You can see Maglio has got the front of the race in category 2. That is going to come right down to the line.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of this is going to come right down to the line today, Matt. And a lot of this is going to come right down to seconds as we see Quadrelli pushing on in this Category 3 race. He has got 8.7 kilometres to go as Quadrelli is now leading Phillips by 7 seconds. Back into the Category 1 race, you can see this really starting to stretch. X100 in 12th, Zanaska in 11th, Kaminski in 10th, Noren in 9th. Lionel Vujassin is pushing on out the lead, and this would be a fantastic stage win by Vujassin if he can take the time trial today. A little bit further back down the road we go in with this catch being made by X100 to Zanaska. Now we know X100 is a strong time trialer because we have seen him close gaps on mountains by holding a steady pace. But what I want to know is whether he can start to tow these other riders up. So can Zanaska hold on? I don't think he can. So Zanaska not being able to go with X100 as he comes past. Kaminski is in there as well. So is Noren, but Vujassin doing a storming job out front with Pim van Diemen in 2, Vink in 3, Popovic in 4, Cutler in 5, Knudsen in 6, Stefan van Elst from the Belgian Waffles squad up there as well. And let's not forget, this team competition is so important today as well. The UAE Clan team, the Belgian Waffles and Italian Gelato squad absolutely fighting it out for the top 3 podium positions.
Yeah, real battle going on here in category one. Lionel Vujasin here holding 5.1, 5.5 watts per kilo. He's motored his way up and he's rocketing over the top. And now we're seeing Michael Vink start to wind up. He's at 6.1 watts per kilo. He's again looking to make the most of the momentum, isn't he? This is about getting up to speed into the descent to use that downhill.
Yeah, and currently about 6 seconds separating the top 6 riders in category one in this individual time trial, and they are coming up for 8.5 kilometres of this 40-kilometre stage.
Well, really great battle in our category three race, getting a little bit closer to its conclusion. There'll be our next finishers coming in. We've seen category four leaders finish. The next will be then category three, then two, then one. We're riding in with the category one battle at the moment between Vujasin and Vink, comparing those two styles here. And you can see this is really interesting. Vujasin here, look at the revs. These guys are absolutely pro. 96 revs per minute, 97. It is hardly moving here. This is absolutely stunning stuff. And he is flying.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vujasin being chased by Vink at the moment. Popovic having gone past Van Diemen. Knudsen then sat with Cutler behind, and then Noren. So, this, as we said all the way through this, Matt, this is a stacked field and some class quality racing and individual time trialing I think we're going to see today.
Indeed, and really interesting who is up for this now. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see category two. This is the fight that's going on between Maglio and Mayer at the moment for the race lead. The big winner today looks to be Nicholas Spratt, who is moving his way up through the overall classification in third place in the race, but going right the way up through the standings. But look at this. We are going to see the catch being made. Michael Vink, I think he's left the mice to play for long enough. He's going to come up, and the cat that's toyed with the mouse for long enough, mate, it's going to be a Vink who is now going to come onto the wheels of Vujasin. Remember, there is no draft advantage, and this is purely about what power you're putting down and what your watts per kilo are. If you're on a downhill, this is pure power. It's not about your weight.
It is indeed. So Vujasin, Vink, both together now towards the front of this individual time trial. Popovic, Knudsen, Van Diem, Cutler and Noren. And you know what, Matt? There's still only 6 seconds separating all of those. So whilst you've only got 2 riders on your screen at the moment on the right-hand side, it is a packed group coming behind. So this is strung out at the moment. And it's going to be interesting to see what these time gaps are, because these time gaps are tiny at the moment.
And Popovic, Van Diemen, the names to watch here. Don't discount Knudsen, he's right in the mix. He's also got so much at stake as well. But these riders, they all we've talked about taking it easy if you're not in the GC on this stage. At the moment, they are not featured on our screens. Every single rider on your screens are turning themselves inside out to be up there. Knudsen, you can see he's on Popovic's wheel. And one of the things that you will find is that the riders are now using the edge that is given by psychologically riding with somebody you know is strong is going to help you along. Popovic and Knudsen, I'm sure, are on the radio to each other. They are able to talk to each other. And look at the gap to Vink and Vujasin.
Well, I think they're going to close this down. I think they're going to close this down. And I think you're right. Knudsen and Popovic teammates probably are indeed on the chat together, but they're not getting any other benefit. There is no draft available. So it's no use being on someone's wheel, turning through and off and actually utilizing that technique here, because there is no draft. The only thing there is team camaraderie and team motivation. And I think that is what is driving these riders forward.
It is now. Michael Vink starts to push past the line of Vujasin. Vujasin in second position here. Knudsen in third. Popovic in fourth. Cutler in fifth. Van Diemen in sixth. And I think we're starting to see Pim Van Diemen be up against the might of the clan team. They may not be able to drop, but they are able to motivate, and that is definitely happening today. Vink leading out. He's on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see that the top 10 is currently separated at the moment by about 300 meters on the road. It's that little Mr. X100 literally in 10th place, 300 meters behind the number one rider. This is how close the racing is.
Well, it's talking about close on GC, Matt. There's only 7 minutes separating first from 10th. And that is after 5 stages. And we have had some serious mountain stages, particularly with that epic stage yesterday. We are now on a 40-kilometer individual time trial, and it is still seconds between these riders. Currently 10 seconds separating first from 7th. There is nothing in it. This field is absolute class. They are so well matched. And take a look at that on the top right-hand corner of your screen. They are coming. The train that is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is on its way.
It is indeed, and the pressure is on the riders as they make their way in today. So the results, of course, all up on the MyWhoosh.com website. It's www.mywhoosh.com. Go up onto the menu bar and click on to results. You'll see the multi-stage race results on there. And you can pick up the results for Category 4. They are on there at the moment. Remember, they are live at the moment. They'll be unofficial when we end the race until all of the riders' performances are verified. Now, on a good ride today is Christoph Thiem. He's sitting 13th place here. He's ahead of Zanaska and Nair, really pushing on, but the very front of the race, about 35 seconds in front of Thiem. The gaps here, Emma, I mean, the gaps in the overall, in the GC behind from 2nd to 8th are minimal.
Absolutely.
But it's looking very, very close.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very minimal. But Juan Hoyos, I'm noticing there, he was indeed the rider who kicked off the start line, now just dropping back as we drop in with Category 3. And this is Filippo Quadrelli. This is the current leader in the Category 3 individual time trial today.
And he is putting in a storming ride. This is really important. He now has 18 seconds on Phillips. The gap at the start of today was 39 seconds. So Quadrelli is closing the gap down, but just as importantly, he's opening the gap up. He's closing down on Hedina. And Hedina started the day back. And that gap back is really important here because from Quadrelli to Hedina was 39 seconds. 39 seconds. So we're just taking a look at this. This is going to be really, really interesting now because they have got in between. Carvajal sat in between in terms of seconds, but the gap here, you can see Hedina's at 35 seconds on Quadrelli, and it's 39 the gap on the GC between 2nd and 4th place, and that's ignoring whoever's in 3rd. And that is going to be Carvajal, who I think has dropped down.
Yeah, Carvajal is at least 2 minutes down, so Carvajal sliding out of 3rd place on the road at the moment. So Quadrelli moving into 3rd, 2nd place in his sights because that 2nd place is Hedina, but Hedina 33 seconds back. It is so close. They have got 2.5 kilometers to go now. So this is absolutely seconds in this for this race for Quadrelli to move into 3rd, into 2nd, and then into 1st. But Phillips is not going to let that happen. I don't think Phillips is going to let Quadrelli take 1st place. Phillips is going to be 1st at the end, Quadrelli in 2. That is my prediction.
That's for the GC. I think there's no stopping Quadrelli taking the win. Emma saying that Phillips here knows the time gap he's got to keep. He will have Quadrelli's numbers in his sights. He will know what he needs to do. Quadrelli starting the day at 50 seconds. I don't think Quadrelli's going to pull out anything like that. I think it's a pretty safe prediction by Emma there on the way through. It's going to be a case of get everything out now in these final 2 kilometers. Quadrelli's leading this out. It's Phillips in 2nd place on the stage at the moment, 20 plus seconds down. 40 seconds down now is Hedina. He's rolling around that marker. Kanth on a great ride here. Camel Kanth sitting at 112 down. And tell you who has lived up to his own expectations here so far, because it is Taylor Gonsolin. He's in 5th place today, and that is a storming ride by the Masters jersey wearer as they come into towards the finish here. Now look at Phillips. He's turning himself inside out in pursuit of this man. It's Quadrelli. Phillips is just minimizing his losses. It's heading towards that 30-second marker at the moment. and we are making our way in towards the ascent that takes us to the line. This is not steep, but it is a climb, and we know both Quadrelli and Phillips can climb. They can both climb better than Hedina, although Hedina, again, a cracking mountain climber. You don't get to be in the GC without being able to go uphill. So here we go. Big push time. Final few 100,000 meters coming in. Let's have a look. It is going to be 1.1K at the moment and less. We're nearly hitting that 1 kilometer marker. Here we go. It is 1,000 meters for Quadrelli. 1,000 meters of pain. He's got to push himself further than he's ever pushed before here. This is where he could set himself up for a top 3 position. He could be ready to challenge Phillips tomorrow on the final stage. Can he do it?
Well, it's going to be really interesting. Quadrelli is going to take time on Phillips today. He's going to come closer to that yellow jersey. It is going to be so tight, and everything is going to be decided in this Category 3 race tomorrow. The sprints, the mountains, and indeed the overall, because the time gaps are coming down, and the GC is going to look very different in this Category 3 race tomorrow as Quadrelli moves into the final 500 meters to go.
So Quadrelli continues to jump in and out of the saddle. He's got to keep those watts per kilo high. He needs to get the gap. Phillips is more consistent at the moment. Quadrelli, I think, is giving it absolutely everything, and he's trying to keep his pace high by sprinting up. Phillips, though, is sitting, and he's now out of the saddle as the gradient changes. This is about these final few hundred meters. You can make or lose a lot of time. Has Stefan Hedina saved anything for the end of this race? Because he needs to pull this out. He's in danger of being ejected from second place by this man, Filippo Quadrelli, in the final sprint to the line. Every second will count here. He's taking away the stage win in Category 3 on our penultimate stage. What has he done in terms of the overall? Phillips is chasing hard here. Phillips has pushed on here. The clock has started at that line, and the gantry is in sight for Phillips. This is where he's got to dig. Can he make it? Will he hold on to yellow? He had a gap of 50 seconds, but this is about that final run. Will he have lost too much time in the last few hundred meters here? He crosses the line absolutely spent as we drop back to Hedina. Emma's watching the clock at the moment, as well as the screens, as we see Hedina come in and through. Phillips had come through the line. Then it's Hedina who comes through in third place. He was hoping to rescue second place from the challenge from Quadrelli. We've seen the man in third place drop right back down. What a finish there, Emma. When those results come through, this is going to make for a very interesting race and a stage on our final stage tomorrow in Category 3.
Oh, absolutely nail-biting competition in that Category 3 race. Seconds, and I think we are going to see probably less than a minute across the top 4 or 5 in that category going into tomorrow's stage.
Well, I can't wait to see those results from Category 3. Just waiting for them to be compiled. Still got riders coming through. Remember, they are live at the moment. So the results coming to you out live. We're just dropping back in with our Category 1 race. And just seeing Mr. X100 here do what we've seen him do time and time again. It's not all that long ago. He was in 12th place on the stage.
But you know what? He didn't start fast. He didn't go with the start. He started on his own pace, and he has ridden his own pace from the start. He has not responded to anything any other rider has done. He's gone out of the start pace going, I am going to ride at this, and that is what he's done. And slowly, minute by minute, he has gone past other riders, and he's worked his way up through 5 places so far.
Yep, just sitting in 7th position at the moment for Mr. X100, who is, we know, someone who can sit at that pace. Now, Michael Vink has continued to open the gap to Justin, but not by a huge amount. It's only 6 seconds on the way through. And we say only 6 seconds because Michael Vink clearly at the moment at 18.4, they're just short of half a race distance. Vink, I think, is still riding at a reasonable tempo here, sitting at these 6 watts per kilo, line of adjusting 5.8, Knudsen at 5.7, and they all know that they need to keep this pace high. Knudsen and Popovic with the gap opening to Van Diemen. Van Diemen tried to go with the pace to stay in position, and it's Van Diemen who is really in trouble here today. He is currently in 8th position, but that means that he is losing ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the story here unfolding on the individual time trial. Van Diemen is the one losing the time. Went into this competition in 3rd place, just 5 seconds back from second. There really was the opportunity to put in a storming performance today and crawl his way up onto the 2nd platform of the podium on GC, but that is not going to happen. We are going to see 4th place. The SS, where is SS? SS is not in here as well. SS currently holding 4th place. 5th place, Mr. X100, now working himself up into the top 7. 8th place, Vidal Mayer, not in the top 7 today. 9th, Michael Kaminsky again. So we are seeing a real mix here, Matt, of riders in this individual time trial and the GC.
Then we saw Pim Van Diemen pushing on and seeing them moving their way in and through. And then he wasn't able to stay with them. He went with them and then didn't stay with them. And that has cost him time. We saw SS doing the same and then dropping back. And I think for me, that is going to be really, really interesting. Whether or not they can recover from that. Go out too hard, you're in trouble. But it looked like a steady start. I think it was just the sustained pace, if I can even say it, that keeps it going. The sustained pace that has made them suffer.
Yeah, so 1 Vink, 2 Vujasin, 3 Knudsen, 4 Popovic, 5 Cutler, 6 Noren, 7 X100, but just 18 seconds separating 1st from 6th. So the time gaps are tiny at the moment as we head towards the halfway part of this stage.
So just watching category 1 left-hand side of your screen, our category 2 leader on the right-hand side of your screen. 31.4K covered for Christian Maglio. He's our yellow jersey wearer as the leader of category 2. He's currently that distance just coming in through the center of the stage. I think what we are going to see from him, though, at 31.5, he knows that when he gets to the top of the climb here, he has got essentially a downhill run to the finish, and he's going to look to really wind it up once he goes down. Michael Vink, the leader and the yellow jersey in category 1, also leading his competition here on the stage and on the overall, and continuing to tap out a pace. He has been called an absolute machine by his teammates, and I tell you something, he's proven that again today.
Well, absolutely. And whilst we see the battle going out in category 1, just to note that in category 2, Christian Maglio may well be fighting to keep the yellow jersey on his shoulders, but Cafe de Colombia, his team, is fighting currently in 2nd place in that team competition, but just 2 minutes 44 seconds back on Team 1, Team Tapas. Now, bear in mind that 2 minute 44 gap has been established over 5 stages. So this is a really tight competition, and every second, every minute that each rider can claw back definitely count.
Definitely, and that's what Maglio is doing. The bigger the gap he can get to the next rider who comes in, the first rider from Team Tapas, if they're the next rider, or maybe even one of his own teammates in Cafe de Colombia, the bigger the time they can put in at the margin at the front, the better chance they have of closing or eliminating that time gap of 2 minutes 44. Really interesting battle in category 2 team competition as well as the individual. Now, Michael Vink currently heading up the race in category 1. Then Vujasin, Knudsen, Popovic, Cutler, Noren, and then Mr. X100 on the left of your screens there. And you can see the top 7 now separated and still only separated by what is about 270 meters on the course. So tight at the top of the standings here, and so tight between the performances being put down, given that Michael Vink is leading. He's not leading by as much as I would have expected.
Would you have expected a bigger gap?
Heck yeah. I think he could have got to the finish, had an ice cream and a coffee before the rest came in. That
Well,
was my
you see,
prediction.
I just think that, well, you know, the question is, what is the point in terms of that smart racing. So Vink knows he's got a 3-minute gear gap. He wants to win the stage as well, understandably, but you don't have to win by another 3 minutes, because that goes into your legs, and I'm sure he's got other targets, particularly tomorrow, and ensuring that he wins and is at the top of GC after the final stage.
Well, let's see what he does. So we're back in with our other yellow jersey who's still left out on the road. This is Christian Maglio. Maglio on his way. He is now heading in to was his last few K here. We've just taken a little look. He's at 33.76 of 40 kilometers. So Maglio at the moment is motoring on. It looks like Mayer in second place at the moment, Spratt in third, Cusimano in four, Moreno in five. I'm sure Emma's just trying to work out in the team competition and add up all of the maths and who is where and when. Not that that was a subtle hint to her to do what she does best and crunch the stats here, as well as call the commentary. The multitasking really critical. So Maglio on the front here now. Cristiano Maglio has shown his skills. He took the win in stages 1, in stages 3 and 4. His lowest position in the stage was 4th, and that was matched on stages 2 and 5. He's been up there in the sprint. He scored points in the sprints and in the mountains, but he has not focused on them. And that has resulted with his leading time of 10 minutes 13. 31 seconds clear of the rider in second place. So great ride by him. Now, taking a look at our riders back in Category 1. We're just doing Tim Cutler here. And Tim riding strongly once again. I'll tell you something, he really has impressed, as has Johan Noren. Some of our riders that we have seen racing in the Sunday Race Club really have shown that it does pay to know the courses. Once you get fit and you get fast and you get to the top, then every little percentage, it's the old phrase, isn't it? Minimal gains at this stage can pay off in a big way.
Yeah, and this is absolutely team pride at stake here. Noren putting in a storming performance, 5th currently in this time trial. Cutler in 6th place. Vink, Knudsen and Popovic, 3 UAE clan riders in the top 4. Okay, I know there are seconds splitting them at the moment, but at this point in time, Vujasin from the Belgian Waffles squad is there. Noren from Italian Gelatos is there. So for the Belgian Waffles and for the Italian Gelato, it is absolute competition on the line today. It is absolutely who is going to be second and who is going to be third in that team competition. Who could even take first place? Because this is so tight. So UAE clan team in 1, Belgian Waffles 6 minutes back, Italian Gelato 9 minutes back. So only 3 minutes separating the Belgian Waffles and Italian Gelato. So still a lot to play for. And those team players, so Vujasin, Noren, 1 from the Belgian Waffles, 1 from Italian Gelato, up here in the top 5.
Indeed, and I think when you look at the seconds, if I remember correctly, Emma, it's actually sub 3 minutes between the riders, isn't it? Because of the seconds involved as well. The times going right the way down to thousandths of a second.
It's even. It's actually 2 minutes 20.
2 minutes 20. There you go. I'm glad Emma's here with us and has a hand-eye grip on the stats as well as on the racing. So we are looking at a real unfolding battle in Category 1 between those teams, the Belgian Waffles team and the Italian Gelato team, battling it out, fighting it out with all the rest of the riders here, looking to take points, positions, places, seconds on the way through. No drafting, pure time trial on the way through. A hilly start, a climb to 7K, a big drop down to 11K. We climbed then from 11K to 16K. We had a quick drop down to 19K. You'll notice longer climbs, short descents, very much going up the long slope, dropping down the steeper slope on the first 2 hills. We then did exactly the same on hill 3. We're moving our way in and through, and we are currently making our way over the top. We're going to drop down off this climb and drop down into the next dip. The final high point really is at 31.5 with 8.5K to go, and then it's a big descent. So our riders continue to push here. Really interesting that Popovic, Fujasin and Knudsen are so evenly matched on pace, but they are now only 1 second ahead of Mr. X100 and Johan Noren. I think Tim Cutler also in that shot as well. And this would mean that we have one leader and 5 riders in contention, if not 6. I'm just taking a look at our screens there, and that is 6 riders there. They are so close. We are over half race distance, and there's nothing to separate these riders.
No, and it's going to be really interesting if we could just take a look behind Cutler, because look at that. Knudsen, Popovic, X100, Fujasin, Cutler, all in there and just lined out and coming together after 25 kilometers into one pack in this individual time trial. Going to be really interesting to see what gap they have over the riders behind, but we will have to take a look at that later.
We will, because we are now in with the riders in category 2 with our leader at the moment. And I'll tell you something, he's doing a great ride, but Carsten Mayer and Nicholas Brower as well. The time gaps opened at the start of this race, at the start of the ride and through the hillier sections early on, and then they've been held. And this is about maintaining pace. But Spratt is on a mission to move up through the rankings at the moment. And Nicholas Spratt riding very strongly indeed. He is looking to me like he is going to be rewarded here.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see Carsten Mayer and Nicholas Spratt rewarded with a move up the podium, because I think Spratt is riding at the moment his way into second place and Mayer riding his way into third on GC, because Maglio is still clear. It may only be 10 seconds, but he had a 31-second head start over Andre Duke this morning. Duke nowhere to be seen in this top 10.
Yeah, sitting in 11th place, and that puts him at least 25 or so seconds down. In fact, I think just sitting, in 11th. So we can see a Maglio Mayer at the front, but the riders are continuing to push through here as they go into the finish. Now, remember, this run into the finish is absolutely key. Getting this climber right, getting this ascent. You go down the dip, you carry the pace through the dip, and then you go on to the race. And it's not massive, but at the end of a timer trial, it is absolutely a cruel finish here today. We are in Alula. We're on MyWhoosh. We are on stage 6 of 7. The individual time trial is really well and truly showing us that it is the race of truth. And this is where there's nowhere to hide. There's no draft to be had. And Spratt is continuing to close in on Mayer. He's effectively putting that power down. He's yo-yoing a little bit in the watts per kilo. But remember, when it's flat, it is about absolute power. When you climb, you start to transfer to power to weight ratio. This is going to be really interesting finish here between Mayer and Spratt. We've got Maglio up the front, and Maglio is about to hit his final kilometre. These riders are only a few hundred metres behind.
They are, and they are not far behind now, down to 8 seconds, that gap that Maglio has. Mayer is pushing on. Spratt is trying to hold him, so Spratt continues to try and hold the wheel of Mayer. The motivation is here. They have got 1 kilometre to go. 1 kilometre to go in this category 2 individual time trial. Maglio in 1, Mayer in 2, 7 seconds back, Spratt in 3, 12 seconds back. This is a massive push for the line.
And every second is going to count. There's going to be some very sore legs after this, because they're having to race right the way to the finishing line. There's no sitting it up and taking it easy. This is about every single pedal stroke. This is about every single flex of that ankle. Every push of the thighs down is going to count now. How much you're pulling that power through the bike is counting, and it can't come quickly enough. That finishing line for the riders, they want this to be done. They want their time to be now. They've got yet more road to cover, because, of course, remember, we finish at 40.0k. Mayer and Spratt. This is an incredible pursuit here between these two riders. There is nothing in it. They raise and lower the tempo, but the gap is holding steady. Maglio on the front. He made that gap early on, but these three riders, they are giving it everything. The gantry comes in sight. It's Maglio who can see it first. The yellow gantry matching his yellow skin suit, the yellow socks, shoes, and gloves. He has made it his. He's held the jersey. He's going to have extended his lead. Maglio takes the stage win in the yellow jersey. It's a second place for Carsten Mayer coming through immediately behind him. Nicholas Spratt continues to track him all the way in and through the line.
Well, Cusimano is coming through for fourth, and there is only a 20-second gap back. Moreno in 5, Ruiz in 6, Biarhead in 7. They are all closing into the finish gantry now, as Cusimano is the rider pushing on. Moreno is coming fast behind. Moreno is coming really fast behind. The fast finishing Moreno will be coming through next in that Category 2 race.
A great ride by Louis Ruiz with the energy still to celebrate as he goes in and through the line. Great ride by Lewis as he goes over the finishing line. Jonas Bjarhed going to be our next rider in Category 2. Jonathan putting in a great ride. Once again, we expect this from him time and time again. Category 2, absolutely thrilling, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant and so close. I think once the numbers have been crunched and the GC has been verified, we are going to see that very, very tight going into the final stage tomorrow.
We are, and I tell you something. Every day I don't think there's a day of the year when we're not doing research one way or another here at Full Speed Events for the commentary across the MyWhoosh, across the World Championships that we cover and the World Cups, etc. And I must admit, I like doing my research, but I am particularly looking forward to looking at the numbers tonight as we go into our final stage and we get to see the very last picture that we're going to put in front of you on the stage 7 start line. That is going to be an absolute cracker. And I'll tell you something, some of the categories and some positions are secure, but my goodness me, we have gone so far, and the last stage, we might as well have really started on stage 8 for some categories, because the accumulation, we're still evenly balanced, we're evenly matched.
Well, if I ever thought time trials were not the most exciting stage to watch, I am eating my hat today, because take a look at this. Take a look at Category 1. Now, we had, when we left this, Fink out in front. Then we had 6 riders all coming together behind. Now, out of those 6 riders, it is Johan Noren. Let me say that again. It is Johan Noren who has come through for Italian Gelato into 2. Knudsen in 3. Popovic in 4. Cutler has come through into 5. X100 into 6. Vujassin is in 7th. And it is absolutely amazing how this is rolling itself out.
It is, Emma. I mean, Lionel Vujassin was in 2nd place not all that long ago, and now he's down to 7th place. Is that strategy? Is that legs? Is that just running out of steam? Has he got the recovery in that, or is it just that he's taken a little bit of a rest, if you like, on this climb going up and dropping in, and that gap has opened up because as they came over the top of the climb, he wasn't quite on the wheels?
Well,
we will find out.
It could be any of those, couldn't it? And we are now running in with 8.8 kilometers to go for that group, but Noren is a little bit further down the road. And now, look at this. So look at that shot behind him. If Noren turned his head over, he would see Knudsen and Popovic right coming up to his wheel. He continues to push on. It is now 1 second back, 2 seconds back, and you can see it's Knudsen who's doing the chasing. Knudsen is doing the chasing to Noren. So Noren, Knudsen, and Popovic here having an absolute battle for 2nd place. But it's only 4 seconds back to X100 and Cutler. So X100 absolutely has just picked his power and stayed there for the last 31.5 minutes, and I'm sure he will do that for the rest. But it is absolutely phenomenal.
It is, and it's really good to see the differences in style here between that group of 6 riders behind. Michael Vink, we know he's astounding. We know he is just a class apart. But the riders behind are changing. I'll tell you something, Mr. X100's ascent there, I rode team time trials regularly, and what I will look for in a partner was a rider who could sit at a steady state and put that down, because I could explode and then rest and explode and rest. So what I wanted was somebody who was steady as a foil against that. This X100, I tell you what, we'd have won some time trials.
So you're going for a 2-up team time trial with Mr. X100, are you?
Maybe on MyWhoosh.
Now, if anybody would like to see that, anyway, let's get back to the Category 1 individual
Nobody
time trial,
wants to see that. Let's watch this instead. It's going to be a lot quicker than me trying to hang on, because it wouldn't last very long. I can tell you the pace that these guys are going. I would have been seeing him right off into the distance. Right. Okay, Michael Vink leading, Noren in 2, Knudsen and Popovic closing that gap back down again. Cutler and Mistakes 100 together, and at the moment, Lionel Vujassin losing ground. Tim Cutler here, he's ridden a great time trial, hasn't he? He's accelerating up again, and he is yo-yoing a little bit in the pace, but that, as much as anything, I think for me, is about matching his output. He knows how far into the red he can go before he has to recover.
Well, absolutely, and it is absolutely key, because we said at the start, before they were out of the start pen, that the time gaps, other than the one that Vink held of 3 minutes 12 on second, were tiny. We had riders in 5th and 6th on equal time. We had 5 seconds gaps, 15-second gaps, 31-second gaps between places, and this is going to do a big shake-up, I think, to that overall GC, and that is going to be important, but not just the individual GC. It is an absolute fight on the team competition as well.
It is indeed. And I tell you what, Tim Cutler today, of the riders who are on your screens, Cutler is pretty much the only one who's not featuring up in the top 10 here today. He's doing a cracking ride here, Emma. And I think if you are flying, today is a good day to be flying.
Yeah, absolutely. Today is the day to be able to push on. Now, these riders have had 5 stages already in their legs, and we saw that massive mountain stage yesterday. The 2 huge climbs that the riders were faced with in this Category 1 race. The legs, though, for Noren seem to be the freshest here, other than Vink, who is out front, but Noren is holding this 20 seconds back from Vink. Knudsen in 2, pushing on 1 second behind Noren. There's a 2-second gap back to Popovic, 6 seconds to Cutler, 6 seconds to X100, then Vujassin 17 seconds back. Now, these gaps are not big, and with the gaps we had on GC coming into this, I think we're going to have a little bit of a rejiggle overnight.
Definitely, I'd agree with that. And I think that we are going to see a real shift tomorrow. And there was, in my head, when I first looked at the course profiles and the racing, I thought, yeah, time trial, penultimate stage, last stage, not too hilly, but it comes right on the back of a mountain. This could be an anticlimax, really, and the time trial might be really just almost a waste of time.
Oh my goodness me, the time trial has been. How wrong were you?
Oh, now, well, it's not the first time.
No, and not just in this men's race, because it was not an anticlimax in the women's race either, I can tell you that. Absolutely influential on GC overnight and that team competition, and we are going to see exactly the same in the men. So the least uninfluential time trial that we could possibly have, and I think we are lining up for a fantastic, I'm going to eat my hat, aren't I, tomorrow, lining up for a fantastic final stage, which will be stage 7 of the MyWhoosh Championships tomorrow. So please make sure you join us then.
Yep, definitely. I'm really looking forward to putting words to the action of the final stage with Emma, both on the women's and men's races. Don't forget, of course, you can watch the men's races on Twitch TV as well as on the YouTube channel. That is Twitch TV / MyWhoosh Live. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with all of the women's action on the YouTube channel. And both of the men's and women's races available to look back. Don't forget to have a look if you're on there at the Sunday Race Club, and all of the videos on there as well. Give it a tick, give it a subscribe. Make sure you jump onto MyWhoosh as well. Don't forget, of course, that we kick off the qualifying on Sunday with qualifier 1 of the Sunday Race Club. But let's bring this race in to its conclusion of stage number 6. Michael Vink now heading well into his final 5K, 4.5 kilometers to go for Vink. at the moment, and he's pushing out some monstrously big numbers here.
Yeah, he's just ramped it up a little bit, hasn't he? So Michael Vink sitting at 6.4 watts per kilo. A nice steady heart rate, though, at 156, Matt. So still within his range. Noren in 2, Knudsen in 3, Popovic in 4, Cutler, X100, Vujasin still all really close on the road behind. So this is absolutely... Look at that as we turn that shot from Pablo Popovic. Cutler and X100 literally 5 meters behind if that were on the road. Vink continuing, Vink is a master at managing this time gap, isn't he? He took it out to 20 seconds and he has just sat and held it at 20 seconds to Noren, regardless of what the guys have done behind and how they have come and the places have changed. Vink has just held that at 20 seconds.
He has, and for me, it really shows why he's such a world-class professional. It's partly physiology. Michael Vink coming in at 1.9 meters, so he's over 6 foot. He's a big guy. He's 73 kilos in weight, so he can put some serious power, but he's got a great power to weight ratio. And at the moment, given that he's 31 now, that means that he is in a position where he has got probably his best physiology for a time trial that you could have. Perfect balance of youth and age, a great physiology, and then you add in all that experience of racing on the continent for the UAE team, and you really have somebody who has got miles in the legs, and that is why he has that experience. He knows when to push, how to time it right.
Yeah, and let's also consider, Matt, that he has been a proponent of MyWhoosh, and that is how he made the transition from esports into that pro team. So he has the knowledge and experience of riding on MyWhoosh, riding on the platform, understanding the technique, and understanding the courses. And you put all that together, and this is what you get.
Yep. Absolute class on wheels. Michael Vink now at 37.2k. In with Mr. X100 here, and this has been a real time trial ride by Mr. X100. He's currently in pursuit of Michael Knudsen, his teammate, and I tell you something, they've had very different tactics on the way through, but Knudsen really pulling out a ride here. He's trying to get across, I think, to Noren here, because he won't want to lose any ground to Noren. However, Noren is not in the top 10 overall. He's no threat to Knudsen, but this is about the gap for me that Knudsen can open on the rest of the riders. And for somebody who has done a lot of work for the team in the early stages, both Knudsen and Mr. X100 are putting in a great ride now that they have a chance to just ride for themselves.
Well, they are indeed, but Noren's riding is about the Italian Gelato squad and taking his team into second position in that team classification, because currently it's the UAE Clan Team, Belgian Waffles and Italian Gelato 1, 2, 3 as we went into this stage. It could change.
It could, and Lionel Vujasin is only 10 seconds down at the
Exactly.
moment, Emma. So he's right in that mix, I guess.
Absolutely. And, we mentioned earlier on that it was a shame because Vujasin had moved from 2nd to 7th, but actually he's lost 10 seconds.
Wow.
I know.
10 seconds covering 2nd, right turn to 7th. This is incredibly close. And this is one of the reasons we have such close racing, because these guys are absolutely flying now. Tim Cutler continuing to push on here. He's got Mr. X100 in his sights. He's currently really winding this up. Some big power coming out. He's at 2k to go. And our leader, to give you an indication, has only just reached 1.5 kilometers to go. They are so close on the road.
Exactly, so 400 meters separating the top 5 riders at the moment. But Vink is P1. Vink is motoring now as he's got 1 kilometer and 250 meters to go.
Wow, what a ride by all of our riders so far who have come in through the finishing line. This is the run for the line. Remember, it's an uphill run for the riders now, and that means that any weaknesses, anything that is starting to go wrong will go wrong much more as they go through. This is going to expose anybody who went too hard, anybody who's on the ragged edge now. Expect to see the revs drop, expect to see the power fluctuate and the heart rate to skyrocket, but these guys know what they're doing. They are absolutely nailing this now, and I think we're going to see an absolute masterclass from the whole of the top 10 riders on your screens all the way through. Michael Vink at the moment leading out. His gap is there, but they are almost equidistant now behind Noran Knudsen, Mr. X100, Tim Cutler, and Pablo Popovic. What a ride!
It's like a row of buttons on a shirt on that right-hand screen in front of you. It's so equal is the spacing between these riders at the moment. So Vink in 1, coming up for 500 metres to go. Popovic is in 6. He is only 350 metres behind, and there are 4 riders in the middle. So Vink in 1, Noran in 2, Knudsen in 3, X100 in 4, Cutler in 5, Popovic 6, Vujasin in 7th, but it is Vink who is looking like he is going to come over the line in 1. He's got 250 metres to go.
So this is the run for the line for Michael Vink now. He knows that he has only a few meters left. The gantry is coming. It's the yellow gantry of the stage finish. The penultimate stage is going to go to him. He's taken all but one of the stages so far. Michael Vink, your winner of the stage today. He comes through to finish and extend his lead at the top of the standings with one stage left to go. In second place, it's going to be Johan Noran. Your winner coming in 57 minutes 40 seconds. It's going to be a quick run through for Johan Noran, who comes in ahead of Michael Knudsen, separated by seconds from each other and seconds from Mr. X100, who comes in, and behind him, look at Cutler go.
Cutler closed that gap down really well, and Popovic is next rider over the line. So Popovic comes over next. Then it's going to be Vujasin. They are coming through this line thick and fast, Matt. There is nothing in it in this individual time trial today.
Well, they were close coming in to the race start. They're coming in close behind Martin. Martins comes through for 8th. 9th, currently sitting on the race, is going to be Stefan van Elst, and we're going to watch these times really closely. Now, Pim van Diemen is the man who's lost the most time so far. He's the man who we're waiting to see come through the line, but let me give you a run through the results whilst Emma works out the overall, or as close as she can get, which is going to take a super calculator style brain. So the UAE clan team taking the race win with Michael Vink coming across the line in 1. It is Johan Noran in 2 from the Italian Gelato squad. The UAE clan team taking 3rd and 4th with Michael Knudsen and Mr. X100 respectively. 5th place going to the Beast Mode team rider. That is Tim Cutler. So great riding by the top 5 coming in. SS still out on course. He's currently down in 13th place. We will see whether he manages to maintain that as they come in and through. Great riding, though, by all of our riders today. Interestingly, Thiem, Kaminsky and Graves all having good rides here. They're up in around the top 10.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting in the team competition. You know, Noran came over for Italian Gelatos, but Vujasin and Van Elst have come over, and Martins for the Belgian Waffle squad. So I think the Belgian Waffle squad are going to hold second place in that competition. Italian Gelatos will stay in 3. But the beneficiary of today's individual time trial, in my book, I'm predicting that's Michael Knudsen, and I think we will see Knudsen move up the standings overnight.
I'm sure we will. Don't forget, you can jump on to the results. Pim van Diemen, the man who we were watching for, coming in 10th place and giving away what is over a minute. It looks like 1 minute, 1 second to Noran, and giving away about 58 seconds to Knudsen. So make sure you jump on to the results on the MyWhoosh website. Today has been an absolute blast on the mic, watching one of my favourite disciplines, the time trial, and it's been a real pleasure putting words to the action. My name's Matt Payne. I will be with you tomorrow with Emma Martin for our final stage of the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023 in both the women's and the men's race. Please, please, please make sure you come and watch the last stages and watch back the racing that we've had.
Yeah, so tomorrow's stage, we've got 2 climbs, 5 sprints, and the GC. And I think we are going to see some absolute action across all 4 categories of this men's race. So don't miss it. Be there, tune in on the YouTube channel or on Twitch TV and join Matt and I and all our riders for the action.
So with that, it just remains for me to say, make sure that you give the guys a follow at MyWhoosh, the amazing team who are bringing you all of this racing. It's at MyWhoosh on social media. Follow Emma at Biking Emma and myself at Matt Fix the Pain across social media and umpteen platforms that are out there digitally. I'm going to go grab myself an ice cream and a coffee. And I'm sure that the team behind the scenes are going to be looking forward to the very last stage and bring you all of the action, just as we are, to looking at those results on the website. So from Emma, from myself, and from all of the team, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.